Everything about this was infidelity. This was wrong. It was inexcusable. The reason it was too big to rig is because we all were saying, get them the hell out. Get them out. Get them the hell out of the country. Just clean house. Every man, woman, child. It doesn't matter if they're white, if they're brown, if they're black, if they're yellow, if they're pink, if they're blue, if they're green. I don't care. Doesn't matter if they're straight. Doesn't matter if they're gay. Doesn't matter if they have no idea what they are. I don't care. Get rid of them.
Peter?
Thank you, President Trump. I have two. First, on immigration. What made you change your mind about targeting in California farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business?
Well, we're not targeting. In fact, if you look today, I put out a statement today about farmers. Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers. And leisure, too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
I've said on this channel that you can make a fair case that he is the greatest president ever with the policies he's implemented. The greatest president ever. No one is in a position to question whether or not I have sufficient regard for the work that he has done as president. But some of the stuff that he said today, I hesitate to use this word, and I didn't write this word. I referred to it on Twitter, on X, as infidelity, because it is infidelity to what he promised over and over again about getting rid of tens of millions of illegal aliens that he's now walking back. But it felt like betrayal. It felt really like a betrayal. And a senseless betrayal. A short-sighted betrayal. A stupid betrayal. So most of you are likely too young to remember an actor named Hugh Grant and some sort of and a scandal that he was involved in. I think it was in the late 80s, early 90s. He was a big-time actor who played in a lot of rom-coms. He was the perfect, handsome British accent dude who was married to, like, pretty much what was regarded at the time as the hottest woman on the planet. Liz Hurley. Thank you, Sue. Yes, Liz Hurley. He's married to Liz Hurley. And he decides that he's going to cheat on Liz Hurley, which right away you have to say, cheating on your wife, you're an idiot. If you're doing that, you're stupid. Worse yet is cheating on your wife when your wife is basically just, pretty much widely regarded as the prettiest human being on the planet. And then who he cheated on her with was basically this rhino in the back of a car, a hideous hooker. And you're just like, why would you do? Why would any person choose to do that? Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would any human? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? How do you come to make a decision like that? None of this makes sense. None of this adds up. It's It's the most mystifying thing that I think as long as I live, I will never understand what the hell was going through Hugh Grant's head. Trump's take today was almost that bad. Almost that bad. And it felt like infidelity. It felt like a type of betrayal. It felt really, really wrong. Where I'm like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to, why would this be happening? There's so much popularity for the get rid of all illegal aliens perspective. So much popularity for it. I think like 60% of America is behind it. Even Democrats are like, just get rid of them. Just get rid of them. And the reason it's not quite as insane as Hugh Grant is because you can understand that he's meeting some level of resistance all over the place. So that would be an incentive for him to sort of say, hey, I'm not going to be removing everyone, which is what he said. But you promised, and we all saw, you were voted in the main issue. There were two main issues. There's the economy and immigration. And what you promised over and over again is that all of these jackasses who corrupt evil Biden purposefully brought into this country, fast-tracked them into this country, didn't have the slightest regard for what their race, nationality was, didn't have the slightest regard for what kind of security risk they posed, didn't have the slightest regard for whether they were literally Chinese spies, didn't have the slightest regard was paying money and funding other agencies to just bring in and suck up people from across the globe. Like we turn into like some sort of massive vacuum, like an international vacuum of just sucking up foreigners from across the globe. Why? Why are we doing this? Gaslighting America, that's not happening. While they're paying, you're using your money to pay NGOs to just suck up more. And we say, oh, we have the perfect answers to that. We got the perfect answer. You know what the answer is that is? Too big to rig. Too big to rig. We're going to bring in the man, our boy, Donnie President 4547. We're going to bring him on in here, and he is going to start kicking him out and kicking him out and kicking him out, and all the planes are going to be going like out, out, out. This is going to be like a fleet of commercial airlines. They're going to be sucking them up, and ICE guys are just going to be throwing in all these freaking illegals. They're all going to be thrown into planes, and we're just going to be flying them on out of here. You're not even going to recognize LA or New York by the time we're done with it, because the place is going to feel empty. You're going to look around and be like, where did everyone go? Oh, I guess they're back in Paraguay. That's what we all thought was going to happen. This is what we were hearing. This is what stump rally after 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 stump rally of the guy who we made too big to rig. The guy we made too big to rig. We all came out in crazy massive force. I was doing show after show after show. Like this is the guy. We need him in there. We need this. This is the man. There's no other human on the planet who's right for this moment other than Donald Trump. Now, do I regret that? No, not in the slightest. This is not to say that he's a terrible president. I'm not saying that. I am not saying, no, he's obviously 1,000 times better than any Democrat president in American history. But there was no reason for the crap we heard come out of his mouth today. There was no reason for it. There is no basis for it. There is no logic to it. It is short-sighted. And all the justifications and the weaseling about why we need to leave these people here. And I'm going to play the clips for you. All the weaseling around about like the farmers and the Chinese students and all the other idiocy, which makes no sense at all. No logic behind it. None. You start talking about how he's worried about the farmers. Look, I have complete respect for our farmers. I have deep respect for them. And if they have to jack up their prices by 20% on their produce, that is the price. That's it. If it costs them more because they have to pay more for automation or legal citizens to actually be doing the work, that's the price. That's the price. That's the price it should have been all along. And what bothers me is that I feel like this betrayal is because he's trying to protect the economy so we don't see inflation. Is either that or he's basically shying away from the fight. You tell me which one it is. But either one of them is inexcusable. It's inexcusable. Because the cost of having what is estimated to be up to 50 million illegal aliens, which means like 1 out of 7 people in this continent here, under our domain, is an illegal alien. Think about that for a second. Think about that a second. $50 million illegal aliens. 50 million. And you want to start parsing out that we're going to get rid of just the criminals? No, they're all committing a crime. And when you're saying just the criminals, you mean the ones who are assessed to be a secure. What about the cost? What about the overflooded hospitals? What about the increased need for different services? What about the healthcare costs that has to be funded? What about the Section 8 and the SNAP and all the other different food benefit, all the benefits that this nanny state that the Democrats have managed to put into place here? What about the cost of those 50 million? How many of them are on the public dime? What about the shredding of integrity of our elections? What about that? What about the added costs as far as like policing these areas? What about the effect it has on the job market? And don't start sitting there saying, "Oh, they do all the give me your own stupid soft bigotry racism," where you're like, "Oh, they're the ones who are cleaning our toilets and picking our fruits," which is crap. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not feeling that. That's all they do. That's all they do. Really? And so you're the humane one. You're the humane one who's like, oh, we have to bring them into America so they can clean our toilets. What the hell kind of twisted humanity is that? Oh, because we need people who are going to clean our toilets for $7 an hour. You're very moral. You're very, very moral. You're so morally superior that you want to save them by bringing them here and giving them $7 an hour to be cleaning our toilets. Whereas if you heard about that happening in China, you'd be calling Xi a dictator for it, and properly so. But we're the saviors here. We're the saviors. We're going to have them slaving out in the hot sun for 14 hours a day, picking fruit for apparently less money than you would have to pay someone legal to do it. It's so twisted. It makes no sense. It's illogical. It's immoral. It's corrupt. It harms America, and Americans are behind the notion of cleaning them all out. There are few issues that Americans have been so neatly unified in as they are in getting rid of the legal aliens. And you want to come out today to have some sort of press conference, start saying, well, I'm making a little bit of a shift in my position here that I said over and over again for the last year and a half is what I'm going to do. I'm having a little change of heart here because we got to look out for our farmers. What the hell does that even mean? What the hell that is wrong. Donald Trump is wrong. He's wrong. Everything about this is wrong. I haven't even gotten into the whole Chinese students part of this yet. It's wrong. It is dead wrong. Could not be more wrong. And it's more wrong coming from him than anyone else. Because he's the guy we banked on. He's the guy who's like, put me in there. I'll take care of this. We banked on him. So I call it infidelity, but I can tell you in my heart, it feels like an utter betrayal. Who the hell are we supposed to? Who's left? Who's left? Who's going to do it? So yeah, they're here to stay. They're here to stay. I saw an interview. Megyn Kelly had Tucker Carlson on. Megyn Kelly had Tucker Carlson on, and he was like, I want to pull up the numbers. I'm curious to see how many illegal aliens has he removed so far. We're like over 100 days in here. If it's under 1 million, I'm going to be disappointed. It was 65,000. 65,000. That's like a week and a half of Biden administration. We got in 65,000. 2 weeks. A Biden administration brought in 65,000, depending on the month. Some months were much worse than others. But in the worst of his times, I think he got up over 200,000. Astronomical numbers. So yeah, he's been there 100 days. He hasn't removed 1 month's worth of Biden at his worst. He's not even close. Not even half of, not even 2 weeks of Biden at his worst. And I understand, you can say that, it's going to get faster. I don't understand why it is that you have to start justifying and saying, oh, this is a person who's a criminal. They have to be a criminal. I've heard the left, like they come out there and they're like, oh, that it's not a crime. You're not a criminal. If you're a legal alien, you're not a criminal. It's like jaywalking. It's the same thing as jaywalking. Did you know it's a civil matter? It's not even considered a crime. It's not even considered a crime. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's why we're not throwing them in prison. That's why we're not throwing them in prison. We're just removing them. No one's saying let's, give them a long-term penalty. But if you saw someone jaywalking, if you're a cop, you see someone jaywalking, would you say, oh yeah, just keep jaywalking? No! You stop them from jaywalking. This is a continual jaywalking as long as they're here, because every minute they're here, it's more jaywalking because they're not allowed to be here. It's that simple. And worse yet, that the left demands that we have to confer upon them all the civil liberties that our ancestors gave their blood, sweat, and tears to earn for their descendants. All the blood, sweat, and tears that the privileges of which that your ancestors, even if they were not here on this continent fighting for American civil liberty, even if you're not a son or a daughter of the American Revolution, that your ancestors at least busted their tail trying to gain admission to be here legally. As opposed to, oh, I'm here. I just want to, where'd you come from? Oh yeah, I came from Huevos down a mile south of the border. Now I have freedom of speech. Now I have all the. I probably go vote if I'm in California. There's state elections, and probably no one's looking close if I'm doing it in the federal elections. Everything about this was infidelity. This was wrong. It was inexcusable. The reason it was too big to rig is because we all were saying, get them the hell out. Get them out. Get them the hell out of the country. Just clean house. Get them out. And I can understand that the first early days of it, till your processes and you're getting your feet back in, and even though you're passing policies, but to actually effectuate policies, maybe it's going slower. And I was hopeful when I was seeing that interview, Megyn Kelly of Tucker Carlson. I was like, you know what? Maybe the first 100 days, you get the ball rolling. Tom Homan says we don't have enough facilities to house them and detain them while they're being processed for removal. So maybe we need to have, added facilities, because it's work, and there's steps that have to be done. I get that. So maybe in year one, it's not going to be nearly as efficient as it will be in year two. But you start caving on policy. You start caving and telling us that, like, oh, you have a whole different change of heart here, that you feel bad about the farmers. What is that? You're only removing the criminals? I agree that criminals should be the top of the list. Every man, woman, child. It doesn't matter if they're white, if they're brown, if they're black, if they're yellow, if they're pink, if they're blue, if they're green. I don't care. Doesn't matter if they're if they're if they're straight. Doesn't matter if they're gay. Doesn't matter if they have no idea what they are. I don't care. Get rid of them. Just clean them all out. Like, you want to preserve our elections? You want to have safety and security? You want to have a healthy economy? And that's what they want to make us think. They want to make us think that that our economy, that's what Trump will try, because in the short term, keeping them here is easier on the American taxpayers' wallet. This is what bothers me, because I think in the short term, this is recognized as being easier on your wallet. That you're not going to see a hike in food prices, restaurant prices, or your hotel stays are not going to get jacked up. So you're not going to be upset about the fact that you have to tighten your belt a little bit. But the long-term perspective of our prospects of our country. So now what? Just leave them here indefinitely, and their children and their children's and all of them now. Oh, okay. We'll just have 100 million. You don't even know if they hate this country. The whole point about going through illegal immigration, and if you came here as a legal immigrant, if you came to this country as a legal immigrant, I say to you, God bless you. I welcome you. Thank you for joining our country. And I don't care whether you're black, white, brown, yellow, green, purple, pink. Doesn't matter. I don't care if you're man, woman, or even someone who's really deeply confused. If you came here through the proper channels, you took the proper steps, you busted your tail to get that American privilege, I say to you, welcome. Long live America. God bless America. And part of the reason I'm able to say that to you is because part of your mission is that you're supposed to be thinking and feeling, God bless America. That's what we have in common. That what I have in common with you, my new immigrant friend, who might not speak English or speak it with a broken accent. What I have in common with you is a mutual respect for the values that were espoused and became the cornerstone of our republic. That we have a mutual respect for those values. For life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That you're not some crazy criminal. That you didn't come here to suck the teat of the American taxpayer. And that you actually share our values and really just want to build a better life. And you've proven that. You've been vetted. And if you are someone who went through that process, and I don't care if you just got admitted yesterday, I say welcome. When you tell me that we're just all of a sudden looking at what he's basically looking at here is giving amnesty to tens of millions of illegal aliens who were just hauled in here and vacuumed from across the country, but under the Biden administration, and paying your taxpayer money to get NGOs to help suck them on in here with the whole thing. Now, and you have no idea who these people are. You have no idea if they hate America. You have no idea if they despise this country. You have no idea if the only reason they're here is because you get free housing, you get free food, you get free healthcare, you get free schooling, you get free education, you get free everything. So they can sit on a couch and basically collect that. And I'm not saying that people who are indigent are sitting on couches. I don't assume that that's the case with most people. But we are not the world's rich uncle. America is not the world's rich uncle. And that's how Biden treated us if you give him the benefit of the doubt, if you think he's not evil and corrupt, even though the least corrupt Democrat treats America as if we are the world's rich uncle. Suck him on in here. So let me play for you. I've been ranting here for 47 minutes. I think this is the longest I've gone. I'm sorry that I've been looking at the chats or anything like that. I've been sitting here just railing because I was just outraged today, utterly outraged. I think this is inexcusable. But let's play the clip of him. Let's play his clip here. Un momento. This is the moment that got people, myself included, pretty outraged. But there's more. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Peter?
Thank you, President Trump. I have two. First, on immigration. What made you change your mind about targeting in California farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business?
Well, we're not targeting. In fact, if you look today, I put out a statement today about farmers. Our farmers
We're going
are
to look at his statement.
being hurt badly by...
That's one of the things that was the first time I saw this. I saw his statement and I was like, what the hell is that? I saw his statement and I was like, I always make a note to myself about what I'm saving because I'll send myself links. So this way I have it stored away for showtime. And normally I'll be like something like, government supermarkets or Simone Biles. And I'll just label it like that. This I just labeled WTF. WTF. Here's the statement he's talking about. Our great farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business have been stating that our very aggressive policy on immigration is taking very good long-time workers away from them, with those jobs being almost impossible to replace. In many cases, the criminals allowed into our country by the very stupid Biden open borders policy are applying for those jobs. This is not good. We must protect our farmers, but get the criminals out of the USA. Changes are coming. What? What? What does that mean, protect our farmers? What's he saying here? Thomas Massey's saying, notice the wording. He doesn't support deporting illegal immigrants. He's talking about getting rid of only the criminals. What does that even mean? What are you going to give amnesty to 10 million illegals, 20 million illegals? Is that what you're going to do? And here he is weighing in on that.
You know, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe.
Why not? Do it. Send them back. Send them back. Somehow the fields were being picked before we had this illegal immigration problem. Somehow. I don't know. The rice poppies got picked. Somehow the corn was picked. It happened. I know we don't have rice patties. The wheat got picked, the barley got picked, the corn got picked, everything got picked. Everything worked before we had illegal immigrants. The only difference is that they're cheaper. Somehow it all happened. But I agree with exactly this. It feels like a bait and switch. He baited us in by telling us he's going to get rid of them all, and then now here's the switch. Promised over and over again. Yeah, that's why I say it. I labeled it infidelity. So I feel like the word betrayal is a very harsh word that but it feels like it's an infidelity that feels like a betrayal.
Be what they're supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then, you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers. And leisure, too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
And my other question about
You know how he could have made this statement a little better? He could have made this statement a little better. That I'm referring exclusively to people who came in here before I was ever president. Anyone who's come in the last 10 years, sorry. The 20 people here 20 years, you want to tell me you want to leave them in here? I think they're a much smaller percentage. I wouldn't have been happy. I would have been screaming. Don't get me wrong. I would have been screaming about that because every illegal alien should be removed. But this, when you're saying you're just removing the criminals, you're saying I'm going to be removing like 3% of the people, maximum. And 97% of the 50 million illegal aliens, they're all here to stay forever. Because if he's not removing them, who the hell is? Who is? We'll sit here hoping that J.D. Vance wakes up. He becomes our next president and does it after they've been here for 8 years. That's not happening. That's not happening. If he does not do it, no one will. It gets worse. That's not the only insane thing that came out. That I'm sorry. There's no other word. That's not the only insane comment that came out of his mouth today. No. I wish it were. Because I think that's insane. I think it's a stupid, short-term policy perspective.
Are you still concerned about the national security issues with Chinese students studying in the United States?
Are you still concerned about Chinese students studying in the United States?
I've always been in favor of students coming in from other countries.
What? What? Why? 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 What is the upside? What? What's the up? Tell me what the upside is. Sell me on this.
Includes China, and we have 500,000 Chinese students coming in. I've always been in favor of it. Does it mean
We have 500,000 Chinese students coming in here? If you had me guess, I would have said 30,000. And thought that's I would have been like 25, maybe 30,000. 500,000?
you that you have to watch people? Yeah, you have to watch students, but you have to watch other people also. I've always been strongly in favor of it. I think it's a great thing. It's good for our schools. I think it's good for our country. I'm also in favor of having them stay. I've been in favor of letting them stay. If you get educated for 4 years, you're willing to get educated for 4 years. I like people being able to stay. You know, they have some great students. You have some.
We don't even have great schools. Where do you have great students? What is he's getting applause here from the stupid, twisted legacy media. That's where he should have realized, wait, what's happening? I must be saying something insane because the leftist media is applauding me.
These are Republicans clapping.
No, that's not Republicans clapping. Maybe it's Republicans. They're neocons if they are.
A lot of Republicans don't like that idea. I happen to like it. I'm a real Republican, believe it or not.
No, you're really
But
not.
I like the idea. They go 4 years. To me, that's almost like, just buying your way in a very legitimate way. And you have stories where Apple wants to hire somebody and they can't hire him because he can't stay. He went to a great school. He finished first in his class. They made him a big offer and everything's done, but he has no idea whether or not he's going to be able to stay. And I'm all for making sure that people like that can go to work for all of our great companies. And you know what they do? They go back to their country, and there are stories that are all over the place. They go back to their company and they start a company just like they were going to start here. They end up starting it in China or India or someplace else, and now they're among the richest people in the world. They've got thousands and thousands of employees that make it great. This is happening all the time because they're not allowed to stay. And I think we'll probably end up doing something about that, right?
I don't know why we have 500,000 students. I didn't even know there were 500,000 students, period, in American institutions. 500,000 in colleges? 500,000? I guess that makes sense. 500,000 Chinese? 500,000 Chinese? Is not every spot there being taken by an American? Just taking the place of an American citizen? That's just the Chinese. That doesn't even count people from, like, I don't know, the Middle East, Thailand, South America. That's just 500,000 Chinese. What the hell's going on? What the hell is going on? How is that America first? He's going to say that, well, we get the best and the best. You're the best of the best. Well, in that case, you know, and then they stay here, so it's enriching America. It's like bringing in a good immigrant. You can make that argument. I guess that's a reasonable argument. There's at least logic behind that argument. This is as a policy? As a policy? No. So it should all work for them.